Hello and welcome coders to the Sky Coding. So this is episode 2 of our MySQL course tutorial series, and in this session we will see some of the basic things, and we will see that how can we install the MySQL in our system and how can we connect with the server and how to install the MySQL workbench and all those things. Okay, after that we will see the structure and some of the basic database commands we will see, and after that we will see the data types and variables. Okay, so this is basically the content of our this video. So without wasting any time, let's get started, and let's first of all install the MySQL, right? So for installing the MySQL, so it is a very just a simple process for installing the MySQL. You have to just simply open any of the browser and you have to just search for MySQL download, right? And after that you have to just simply open the first link and we will just install the MySQL community server, right? And after that you have to just search for this MySQL community GPL download. You have to just open that one, and after that you have to just simply click on this MySQL installer for Windows. So after opening this, you have to just select the version. The latest version is going on 8.0.34. So after that, we will just download this small one that is of 2.4 MB. Okay, you can just download this 331 MB as well, but we will just download 2.4 MB installer, and after that we will install the things separately. Means we will install the MySQL workbench server cell. Okay, you can just install those things separately while installing the installer, right? So let's download this and let's see that what is it is saying. Okay, so you have to just simply click on this no just start my download, so it will start the download. Let's save this, and after that we will do the installations. Okay, so the installation is a very simple process. Okay, you have to just simply do the next. Let's do the double click. Okay, so let's wait for some time as it is just gathering some required information. After that it will show you the pop-up wizard for my community server, and it is just validating the internet connection. So let's wait. Okay, so after just downloading the installer, you have to just simply run that, and after that this window will show here. Okay, as you can see here, MySQL workbench is already installed in our system, cell is already there, router is already there. Okay, so that's why it is showing like this way, but in your system you have to just select those things that which are the things which you want to install. Okay, so let me show you that window that in your system what type of it will show. Okay, so in your system it will show the installation community like this. Okay, so you can just select by just clicking on this plus option. Okay, so our requirement is to install this MySQL server first. Okay, so you have to just simply click on this plus and you have to just select any of the server, and after that you have to just click on this green arrow. Okay, so that it will move to this right window where it is written product to be installed. Okay, so whatever things you want to install, you have to just move those things to the right panel where products to be installed is written, right? And after that I want to install the MySQL workbench, so we will just MySQL workbench. So it is showing another version is already installed, so in my system it is already installed, that's why it is showing like this way, right? And it is showing to install MySQL server, so MySQL is already installed, that's why it is showing here. Okay, it is hidden here, right? In your system, if you are installing this first time, then it will show like this way, so you can just simply click this and you can just simply click on this right arrow. Okay, so that it will move to the right panel where products to be installed, right? So in the similar way, you can just select whatever things you want to install, you can just select those things and you can just install those things in your system. Okay, and if you want any connector for ODBC, Java, Python, right, so you can just install the connectors as well. Okay, in your system you have to install all the things: MySQL server, cell, router, and workbench as well. Okay, so after selecting those things that what products you want to install, after that you have to just simply click on the next, and after that you have to simply click on the execute. Okay, if you are facing any type of doubt, right, so you can just comment, I will surely help you out there. Okay, so I have already installed in my system, right? So that's why it is showing like this way. Okay, so installation is very simple, right? Everyone can install those things. Okay, so let's open the workbench and let's give the password and let's see the interface of the workbench, right? That how my workbench looks like. Okay, so let's search again. Okay, it came, right? It has taken some time. Okay, so after that you can just make any of the connections from here. If you want to do any of the connection, you can just do the connection from here by giving the username and the password, right? And you can just select the port. As by default that workbench server will just 3306, right? You can change this according to your need. Okay, so you have to just simply click on this and let's give the password as I have given the password. So let's give the password and let's click on the okay, right? So it is saying that connection warning
incompatible version. Okay, so let's see this. Okay, so this is our workbench. You can see this is a code server, a code editor where we will write our codes. Okay, whatever query we will write, we will just write in this workbench only. You can use the workbench or you can use the MySQL cell as well, right? So let me show the cell as well. So for the cell, let's search for the cell. Yeah, this is MySQL cell. So let's open the MySQL cell as well. Okay, and let's see. Okay, MySQL. This is MySQL, and let's open this MySQL command line. Okay, this is just a cell. Okay, so instead of working on the cell, let's open this command line and let's give the password. Okay, let's give the password. Whatever password you have given, you have to give the password, and you can see it is now connected to your server, and you can just give any commands. Okay, and just as I am giving show databases, so it will show all of the databases available, right? So it is working fine. So I have done the successful installation of the MySQL, and if you are facing any type of doubt, then you can just ask me, right? So first step is completed. MySQL installation is done. Now let's see the structure. Okay, what is the structure? Okay, of the MySQL tables. Okay, in tables structure is just a simple. You can see structure, and here this is a okay. Let me quickly give you some things. So RDBMS means Relational Database Management System, where data is stored in the tabular format. Here we will not get unstructured data, right? Now here we are getting the data in the tabular format. As if you are working with the NoSQL or non-relational databases like NoSQL, then the data will not be present in the tabular format. There may be some semi-structured data will also be there, right? As SQL is a MySQL is a just a RDB, means Relational Database Management System. So data is present in the tabular format. Okay. So what is a database? Okay. So database is a container, or you can call it as a folder. Okay, where we will store all of the data. Database is just a container where all of the data will be stored. All of the data means in the database, all of the tables and rows, columns, all of the things are stored in just a database only. As if you are just dealing in your system PC, right? So suppose that this is our downloads folder. Okay, so in the downloads folder we are having all of the files in our this downloads folder. Okay, so what is downloads folder? We can call this downloads folder as a database where all of the data is stored. Okay, so that's why you can see this is a database box. In the database box we are having all of the tables. Okay, and inside the tables we are having the data, and data is present in the rows and columns. Okay, because we are just dealing with the MySQL. So in the MySQL is a relational database, so it is just storing the data in the tabular format, right? So that's why database is just a container where all of the tables are stored. Okay, and all of the data is stored in the tables, right? So you can see these boxes. Okay, all of these tables, data, row and columns are stored in the database, right? Database is just parent for these tables and data. And here in the tables, data. Okay, let's see from here. Okay, so data is stored in the rows and columns. Okay, and this data is stored in this tables. Okay, and these all the tables are stored in the database. Okay, so database is just a parent for all these tables and data, which is stored in the rows and columns. Okay, so this is all about the database, that what is database. Okay, and this is just a common thing you must be knowing about this thing, that what are columns and what are rows. Okay, so columns are this. Suppose that this is a employee table. Okay, so this employee ID, employee name, employee department, employee age and employee sex is a column names. Okay, so these are columns. How many columns we are having in this table? 2 to 4 and 5 columns we are having. Okay, and these are rows. Okay, these are rows. 1 2 3 4 5 rows we are having in this table. Okay, so don't confuse in this thing that what is column and what is row. So these are rows. 1 2 3 4 5 6 are like this way, and these are horizontally, these are that columns, right? Column names are given here. So here we are having 2 to 4 5 columns, 5 columns and 5 rows. Okay, so this is rows and columns, and this is just a structure of the SQL table or database and all those things, right? So this is about the structure. Okay, so we have covered this thing. Okay, so after that let's see the database commands, right? And after that we will see the data types. Okay, so before moving to the database commands, let's first of all see the data types. What is data type present. Okay, so what is data type? Data type of any column defines what the value of column can store. Okay, suppose that you have created a one table, right? And in that table you have created some of the columns. Okay, so let's take an example for this structure table, right? So suppose that this is a table: employee ID, employee name, employee department, age and sex. Okay, so this is an employee ID, and employee ID we are just storing these values. Means it is just having the character as well, and it is having the integer as well. Okay, so here the data type of this employee ID is varchar, because varchar is just taking all of the things in the variable listing. Okay, so we have to just define the data type to that column, that what type of values it can store. Okay, if you are just seeing this employee name, right? So employee name is having all of the data in just a string format. Okay, so we have defined the employee name data type as varchar. Okay, that's why it is just storing the character values, okay, string values. So we have to just define these things, that what type of values this column can store while creating the tables. Okay, and in the employees we have given the integer, all of the integers. So the data type of this employee is just a integer. We have to define these things while creating the table. Okay, this thing we will better understand this thing when we will do the practical and when we will create the tables and all those things. Okay, so data type of column defines that what value that column can store. As here we are having employee name, so employee name data type is just defining that what are the values which can this employee name can store. Okay, if you have given the data type for this employee name as a varchar, then you cannot store the integer values to this column. This is a limitation, right? And defined while creating tables in the database. We have to just define the data type of that column whenever we will create the table, then only we can just give the data type of that column, right? And data types mainly classified into three categories. Okay, mostly used: string, numeric and data. And these are the three types of data types which are available. Mostly we use these three types only while dealing with the MySQL. Okay, so in the string we are having character varchar. This is just mostly used data types, okay, which I have written here. Okay, and in the numeric we are having int, float, bool, only for boolean, for storing boolean values. And date and time we are having date, time, timestamp and date. We have lots of data type, but I have written here some of the common which mostly we use while dealing with the tables in MySQL, right? So here I have written some of the commonly used data types in SQL. So integer, basically we use int for storing the integer value. We use a float for storing the decimal point number. Suppose that you want to store the percentage, then you have to just give float data type to that column, right? And if you want to specify any of the boolean values, means true or false, then you have to give the data type as bool. And if you want to store the character of the fixed length, you can see here fixed length string that can contain numbers, letters and special characters. Okay, so char, whenever you will give char data type to any of the column, then also it will store the character values, means string values. And whenever you will give the varchar, then it will store the variable length string that can contain the numbers, letters and special characters. So these char and varchar both can store the character values, string values, including number. Okay, so what's the difference between char and varchar? Okay, so the difference is char can just store the fixed length string, but varchar store the variable length string. Okay, so first of all see date, then we will see the difference between character and varchar. Okay, so date, if you want to store the date in some column, means date of birth or any type, so you can just give data type to that column. Okay, so this is a format year, month, day. Okay, and date time, if you will give date time to any of the column, then it will store the time as well, including the date. Okay, so if you want to store this character and varchar, okay, so let me open the notepad and let's see this thing. Okay, let me quickly tell you the difference. Okay, so if you want to give the character, okay, and if you want to give the varchar to any of the column, okay, so suppose that we have given the character value, character data type to any of the column. Okay, and suppose that there is having a column name. Column name is equals to suppose that column name is student name, right? And in the student name you have given like this way, char, and char, how much characters it can store. Suppose that 6 characters, right? And in the similar way, in this column here as well, column name, student name, and okay, what happened? Okay, so here you have given the varchar data type, right? Varchar, and it can store just a 30 values, right? So if you are just giving a student name, suppose that this is our student name column and the data type of this column is, okay, let's remove this thing, right? And the data type of this student name column is character, means it can store just 6 values, right? 6. And this is our student name which is having the data type for a varchar means 30, so it is just storing the 30 places. Okay, so what's the difference? So the difference is, suppose that in this column where data type is character, you have given some name as Ankit, right? And here where data type is varchar, and here you have given Ankit. Here also you have given Ankit, right? So you have stored this Ankit to this character data type column, and you have stored this Ankit to the varchar data type column. Okay. So if you will check the length in this character, right? So if you are just going to check the length, right? So you can check the length by this way. Select length of a student name column. Okay. Student name from your table name, right? From your table name. So what length it will show? It will show the length as a 6 only. Okay. But if you will check the length of this thing while dealing with the varchar. So suppose that if I have checked the length for this thing, so this time it will show the length as 2 to 4 and 5 only. It will not show the length as 30. Means 30 is the maximum value which you have given to this column. Means this student name can store just 30 values, right? And if you are just storing just 5 values, means 5 values to this column, then it will, then this memory will not be padded with the extra column. This memory will just be vacant, and it will be, these 5 values will be just stored in this thing. So if you will check the length of this column, right, then by using the length function, then it will show you just 5 only. But if you are just checking the length of this column, then it will show you this value. Suppose if suppose that if you are just entering this just AB in this student name, then also if you will check the length, then it will show you the 6. Okay, because here while dealing with the character data type, it is just padding some extra spaces also. But while dealing with the varchar, it will not pad some extra spaces in the table, right? So this is the difference between character and varchar. Here we will better understand when we will do the practical and understand those things. Okay? So that's all about the data types, and now we are left with the database commands. So in database we have covered MySQL installation, structure is done, data types is done. We are left with variables and database commands. Okay, so what is a variable? Okay, so variables are used to just store a value. Variables are also a container. If you are familiar with the programming language, then you must be knowing about this thing. Variables are just used for storing some data or the information while execution of the program, right? And in the MySQL, we are having 3 types of variables: user defined variable, local variable, and the system variable. Okay, and meanwhile just take this thing that what is a variable, and we will better understand these things about these user defined, local variable, system variable when we will do the practical, because we have not started the practical yet, and we have not seen that how can we create the database tables and select command, insert command. We have not seen any of the clauses as well. Okay, so we will just the practical of these variables later on in the upcoming video. You can just set this variable name, and you can just assign any of the value to the variable name, so that you can use that value in your queries if you are just needed that value later on. Okay, so we will understand this thing better when we will do practical. Now we are left with the database command. Let's see some of the database commands, then we will just wrap up this session, and after that we will see in the episode 3. Okay, so database commands, let's see that what are the things. Okay, so let's see in the database commands what can be right. Okay, let me tell you some most important things. So while writing some of the queries in this MySQL workbench or the MySQL cell, there is no case sensitivity while writing the queries in MySQL. You can just write in small, you can just write in caps letters. Okay, so let's write a no case sensitivity. You can write anything. Okay, sensitivity. Okay, check the spelling. Okay. So okay, so let's first of all create the database. Okay, so if you want to, okay, so we will see these things: create database, and we will see how can we use database, create use, and after that we will see how can we show the database. After that we will see how can we drop the database. Okay, we will see these 3-4 things, and after that we will also see this read only type of property, right? So if you want to create the database, so you can just simply write create a database, and you can just give any of the database, right? Sample db. Okay, after that you have to give the semicolon. Semicolon is necessary here while dealing with the SQL queries. Here you can just leave semicolon, but if you are working with the MySQL this command line, then it is compulsory to write the semicolon, right? So if you want to create the database, you can just simply create the database by this way, and this is your button. This is a button. If you will click on this yellow button where there is no I option, so it will just run all of the queries which are written in your code itself. But if you are running them with this I button, then it will just run the query where your cursor is there. Okay, so you can see a database is created, and you can just refresh this schema, and you can see a sample DB we got. This is a sys. Sys is just a MySQL database which MySQL use for its execution. Okay, this is by default in all of the databases, means all of the MySQL databases, right? So database is now successfully created, and suppose that you want to you have created the database, okay, and you want to create any of the table in this database, so you have to just use this database. Okay, so for using this database, you have to just simply write use keyword, and you have to write your database name. Okay, so I want to use this sample db, so I will just write use sample db. Okay, so you can see this is now in use. Okay, so whatever things you write here, means create table, select query, whatever things you will do in this code editor, these all the things will just fetch the data from this sample db, because we are just using this database. Okay, and you want to use any other database, suppose that I want to use this sky, so I will write just like this, we use the sky. So now sky is in use. Okay, so whatever the things we will do, all the things will fetch the data from this sky. Okay, you can see here, this is your output. Okay, you can see the output here. Okay, so this is how we can use the database. Okay, so suppose that you want to check that how many databases we are having, so you can just write like this, show databases. It will show all of the databases information is MySQL sample db. By this way you can just show the databases. Okay, and suppose that you want to drop the database, so you can just drop like this, drop database, and suppose that I want to drop this sample db, right? Sample db, so you can just drop like this. So let's maximize this. So you can see drop database is successfully done, and now we are not having any of the database with this sample db. So by this you can just drop this database as well. Okay, so you can just do these things in your MySQL command line as well. Okay, so you can just do show databases, you can use any of the database, use sky, you can see database change, you can drop the database from here as well. Similar things you can do from MySQL workbench, or you can do from MySQL command line, right? So now let's see this read-only property. This is a very important property. Many of you may be not familiar with this read-only property. Okay, so now let's enter our database first, and let's put the read-only property to our database. Okay, so enter database, and my database name is sky. Enter database sky, and let's put the property for read-only. Read-only is equals to true. One boolean value is for true, right? So that's why we are just giving this one, right? So you can see one row affected, and enter database read only. Okay, so read only means read only is equals to 1, means it read only property is true for this sky database. So if we have done the read only property is equals to true for any of the database, then what is the effect of this property? So the effect of this property is that if we have put out the read only property is equals to true for any of the database, then that database means if you are accessing that database, so you can just read the things from that database. You cannot edit the things. So you can perform the select queries only. You cannot do the manipulation to that data. You cannot update the data, delete the data, insert the data. Okay, you can just read that database, right? And suppose that you want to drop this database which is in the read only mode. Okay, so you cannot drop this database because this database is in the read only. Okay, so if you want to drop this data, let's see that thing. Okay, so drop database and sky. Okay, So let's see, it will throw you the error because our database is in read only mode. Okay, you can see drop database sky is in read only mode. Okay, so what if any of the database is in read only mode, then we cannot means perform the manipulation first of all. And if any of the database is in read only mode, then we cannot drop that database as well. Okay, so what is the solution for this? If any of the database is in read only mode, then I want to just drop that database. Then how can we drop that database? So for that, you have to just first of all put the read only property is equals to false. You have to just move that database uh, from this read only mode. Okay, then you can just drop that database. Okay, so let's put the value as false, 0 is for false, and let's run this. And now our database is in not in read only mode, so now we can drop this database. Okay, so let's run this. You can see drop database is successfully done. Okay, so we are not having any of the data. This is database, this is sys. So sys is just by default by MySQL workbench, MySQL server, right? So in this way, we can just put this read only or read only true or read only false properties. And if any of the database is in read only mode, then we cannot drop that database. And if you want to drop that database, then we have to just move the database to the move the database from this read only mode. Okay, that's all about this session. We have covered the installation and we have seen some of the databases. How can we create, use, alter database, and how can and what are the data types, and we have seen the difference between char and varchar. Okay, so that's all about this session, and from the next session we will start the practical and we will see how can we create the table. After the table we will perform select queries. Okay, so we are just doing this thing from the beginner level. So if you are from the non-IT background also, then also you can just learn MySQL. Okay, so that's why we are doing all of the things from the beginner level, from the basic level. Okay, so in meet you soon in the next very interesting tutorial in the episode 3. From the episode 3 we will do the practicals. Okay,